55. When I enter the reception, Big Madam is sitting in the sofa by the aquarium and looking at the floor. Miss Tia smiles when she sees me, and I draw a breath, comforting myself with her scent of coconut oil and lily flower. She is looking much better now. Her hair is sitting in a big puff on her head, pushed back with a red band, and her face is no more having plenty lines. The skin smooth again. Your face, I say, it is looking good. Palm oil worked its magic, she says with a wink. Are you okay? Have you been crying? I am okay now, I say. Haduni, listen, Miss Tia says, your madam and I have had a discussion about your future. She is aware of the scheme and says you can come with me today, but she insists on having a word with you before she can release you. Big Madam stands, beckon with her fingers. Follow me, Florence. Miss Tia's voice is low, like a warning. I just want to have a word with her, Big Madam said. Alone. Then I will step out, Miss Tia says as she nods at me, leaves the reception, closes the door quietly. Big Madam holds out her hand. The letter? I shake my head no. Hand me the letter this minute, or I will make it very difficult for you to leave. I don't care what Tia threatens. In the end, you will be the one to suffer if I make things difficult for you. My heart is heavy as I put my hand inside the brassiere, bring out the letter, and give it to her. She snatches it and starts to read, her eyes scanning the letter out of Lagos, scanning the letter, reading fast, her face showing no feelings, not even as she sees the dried blood. Then slowly she starts to tear the letter to pieces. I watch in shock as small by small by small a rain of black ink paper is pouring out from her hand and floating to the floor. A question. Two questions hit my mind so hard it nearly stops my breathing. What if it was Big Madam and not Big Daddy that caused Rebecca to disappear and bleed blood? And if so, is that why Rebecca was writing that is afraid Big Madam would do something bad to her? Why Big Madam did not arrest Big Daddy with the police? I think back to the night I told her Rebecca wrote a letter and how she seemed not too shocked. Sad, tired, but not shocked. She didn't even read it. The only thing that seemed to nearly run her mad was the Caroline Bancole thing. I look at her face, searching for answers, but all I see is a blanket of sadness and sorrow and pain. Ma, there was blood on that letter, I say, on the letter you just teared up. I know, Big Madam says, her voice low. I saw it. Why did you let the police go? I ask. Why did you tear the letter when you know Big Daddy may have killed her or wounded her or caused her to? My voice is starting to rise, and Big Madam is holding up her hand, fear crawling all over her face. Stop raising your voice, Aduni. What happened to Rebecca? I ask. If you don't tell me now, I will shout and tell everybody what happened, that you killed Rebecca. She laughed a shock of bitter laugh. Me? Kill a human being? Is that how low you think of me? She sighed. Dooney, I do not owe you an explanation, but I will tell you this. Rebecca is not dead. She is not harmed. I know Chief got her pregnant. I have always known. The day she left this house, I drove her away. What about the blood? I ask on the letter. Why is it there? Where did you find the letter? Under my bed. I lie because I don't want to put Abu in trouble. And because of that, I know I cannot talk about the wet seat in the car, which I now know was maybe full of blood too before somebody washed it off. What happened to make her bleed? This will remain between you and I, Big Madam says, watching me. Inside her eyes, I see 100 mouths wide open, screaming a warning. The day Rebecca left, I was at home, unwell. My husband did not know I hadn't left for the shop. He and I were not on speaking terms. We hardly are anyway. I needed Rebecca to make me some food since coffee had gone out, and because I called for her with no response, I was forced to go and find her in her room. When I got there, she was in so much pain. She was moaning, holding her stomach, trying hard to twist out her waist beads. She was in a bad state, in real agony. She said she drank something my husband gave to her. She must have been in the middle of writing the letter you found under your bed before the pain started, because I noticed it on her bed as I rushed out to get her help. I saw the waist beads, I say, on her window. She took them off because her stomach was turning with so much pain. Big Madam shrugs. She might have left them there as we got ready to leave the house. I ended up dragging her to the car myself because no one was at home. I had sent a boot to deliver an urgent fabric order on the mainland, and I don't know where Chief went. I suspect he gave her a drug to cause a miscarriage and took a stroll, left her to bleed out the baby. His baby. She stopped a moment, swayed on her feet a little, then stilled herself. I drove her to the hospital. On the way, Rebecca started to bleed. Turns out she was nearly 4 months pregnant. I don't know how I missed her growing bulge and that she was losing the baby. She told me my husband was responsible and that the bastard had promised her marriage. Immediately, the doctor was able to control the bleeding. I got her discharged, took her mobile phone off her, deleted all the messages she and Chief had been exchanging, and drove her to the nearest motor park. I gave her some money, told her to get out of Lagos and never return. She never returned to her village because Mr. Kola would have found out and told me, but she has stayed away from my life. And me, in my foolishness, I asked Mr. Kola to get me a much younger girl as my next maid. I didn't know I was married to an animal, a beast. Age matters not to him. Nothing, absolutely nothing matters to him. She sighs. Go and get your things, Aduni. I look at the scatter of paper on the floor, not moving from where I am standing. How do I know, Ma, that you are not lying? I ask, but I think she is saying the truth. I think, too, that Rebecca took the letter with her to the car and hid it there, maybe by mistake or because she had hoped that somebody would see it. Our conversation is over, Big Madam says. Go now and get your things and leave my home. And then, raising her voice, she says, Mrs. Dada, can you come back in? Aduni and I are done. Miss Tia returns inside, sees the scatter of paper on the floor, says, What the hell? Aduni and I are done, Big Madam says again. She can go and get her things. I run all the way to my room, and when I reach it, I take off my shoes and arrange them under the bed. I peel off my uniform, fold it, keep it on the bed. I wear my dress, put on my sandal shoes from Ikati. I look around slowly at the bed, the cupboard in the corner, Rebecca's shoes on the floor, the folded uniform on the bed. I set at packing my belongings into my nylon bag, my mama's Bible, the 900 naira I brought with me from Ikati, my pencils and notepad, my better English and grammar books. I pick up Rebecca's waist beads, look at them for a long time, and with shaking hands, drop it into my bag too. Is she from Magan? Maybe one day I will see her and give it to her. I feel a strong pull of sadness as my mind drags me back to Ikati, back to when I was about 5 or 6 years of age and playing in the village stream with Anitan, splashing water on our faces, laughing with no sense of what life will bring for all of us. My mind rolls again like a tire set down from the top of a mountain as I think of Mama and her laugh, which was the sound of 10 quiet sneezes, of Khadija, my friend, and the many nights we lay together on the mat in her room, sharing stories into the far deep of the night. I think of Rebecca and I say a prayer that wherever she is, she will find peace. It is when I think of Caius, who I had been locking up in my mind for so long, for fear of running mad with the pain of missing him, that my knees make a sudden bend. I fall to the floor and start to cry for Mamma, who spent all her days, sick and well, to gather school fees money, sometimes frying 100 puff puffs to sell under the hot Ikati sun, and many times returning home at night with tears in her eyes because she didn't sell even one. I cry for Papa, who thinks that a girl child is a wasted waste, a thing with no voice, no dreams, no brain. I cry for Big Madam, with her big house, the big cage of sadness around her soul. For Iya, who was kind to me because my mama was kind to her. For Khadija, who lived and died for the love of a man that left her to die. And for myself, for the loss of everything good and happy, for the pain of the past and the promise of the future. My cry is a soft wail, both a whipping and healing to my heart, until someone calls my name from afar, a sound that stops the wail so sudden, as if something snapped off a rushing stream from the source of it. I wipe my face, push myself up, and pick up the cloth hanger inside the cupboard. Kneeling on the bed, I pull and twist and stretch out the hanger until it is a thin line, a metal pen with no ink. Slowly, I begin to scratch the wall with the tip of it. I scratch and scratch, blowing away the chippings from the white paint, curving and carving letters deep into the wall until my neck and fingers are paining from too much bending and scratching. When I finish, I climb down from the bed, pick up the nylon bag of my belongings. At the door, I look at the wall, at what I scratched into it. The C is one half of a square, and the A is almost a triangle, but I can read the words Aduni and Rebecca. I leave the room, closing the door on the memory of the sad and the bitter and the happy of it all, knowing that even if everybody forgets about Rebecca or about me, the wall in the room we shared will remind them that we were here, that we are human, of value, important. End of chapter 55.